Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you happen to be during this moonlight madness time, which is every day lately. I don't know if you notice how bright the moon is, even while waning. But whenever and wherever you happen to be, I hope that you are able to understand what your anger is. A lot of people are totally above all of the emotions now. They're just kind of floating, going through days, and when you feel emotions, it's like happy or joy or love. But a greater number of people are still having problems with anger and hurt and upsets and disappointments and going through lists of sadnesses, things that happened in the past. And I'm just here to remind you about what anger truly is. A lot of people will be angry and then they'll blame another person, the person they're angry at, or the situation, or whatever it is. That, they'll be angry at whatever or whoever, and they don't usually tend to delve deeper to see what the anger is about. And I have not heard any one of you say anything about anger. And I myself am not angry. My son was a little snappy this morning, but within 5 minutes he apologized and everything was fine. He said, "Wow, I'm sorry I snapped at you and you did not deserve that. I was just frustrated because I had other things going on in my head." All right, cool. And he said, "I misjudged what you were saying." And yes, he did. So it was one of those magical moments of maturity. I was like, woo, so I haven't really experienced a lot of the anger energy around me too much, only in my son occasionally. But, he's a, 18-year-old Libra, so that's to be expected. But I have noticed a lot of posts of people talking about how absolutely, totally pissed off they have been. Even on the Ace of Moons, she did a whole post on anger the other day, which I only saw a few minutes ago. I didn't even know about this one. But 3 or 4 people have gotten into this whole diatribe, this whole speech about anger. And I thought, wow, I wanted to mention it in case you or somebody has been experiencing great amounts of anger. And anger is not a pure emotion in the way that it's in and of itself contained. And what I mean by that, happiness doesn't have a deeper motivation. It's just happiness. It's just when you feel happy, you feel happy. And sadness, there's not a deeper thing to the sadness. It's just sad, Whereas depression has more, it's like more layers to it. Depression is you feel sad for a very long period of time, and there might be mitigating circumstances surrounding it that keeps you in that state. You lose a loved one who you're very close to, or you lose your place to live, or, you lose something massive, and then that can plunge you into a depression that lasts for days, weeks, months, or sometimes years, or even decades. And then it becomes a perpetual state of mind, whereas the initial event or person or whatever causes a sadness And then, instead of going through the sadness and ending the sadness, it continues. So depression is like a deeper or higher, I wouldn't say a higher octave, that's not the right term, or a lower octave, I don't know. It's just a continuation of the sadness. But anger isn't just a pure emotion that comes from nothing. Usually, anger is a band-aid that covers hurt feelings. They always say hurt people. Well, usually they do that with anger. So it's almost like a secondary emotion. It's something that you can feel, but it's like a hurt when you feel like you've been slighted. You feel like you've been injured in some way, maybe physically, maybe emotionally. Someone takes away your house, someone takes away your car. So you feel anger at the repo man, but you're hurt, and then you have to decide who hurt you. If you didn't pay your own bill and then they came and took the car back, it's really you that hurt you, or maybe your boss knew the car payment was coming up and decided not to pay you, and then he fired you when it came around time for your next paycheck, and then you're angry at him, but you're really hurt that he would hurt you so much, right? So, which I don't know anyone that went through that, not even me, but, I'm just coming up with, scenarios as examples, like I always do in my Heyoka storytelling style, my crazy wisdom, #crazy wisdom. But, anger is something that, when you feel like, what my friend Jenny used to always say is when you feel that righteous indignation, if someone rules in the favor of women no longer having rights after having experienced having rights for like 60 years, for example, then your anger would be coming from a place of hurt, but it's more of a hurt because there was a slight against you as a part of a greater group, so hurt creates anger if you don't feel the hurt of it. At first you might feel sad and then maybe disappointed and then kind of overwhelmed by it, and if you process it correctly, but if you don't, then it becomes anger. And in a case like that, and then the anger turns into like a 1,000,000-woman march, that kind of thing. But then it's like a collective hurt, and then it's kind of hard to get away from that. So you kind of attach yourself to a greater cause, which it's not a bad thing. For me, I don't attach myself to causes, but I do sign a hell of a lot of petitions. When they come across my desk and I look for them, man, I sign them all. I sign them all because I feel like justice needs to be served, but I don't hold the emotional charge. I don't glom onto something and then attach my own emotions onto it and ignore those emotions and then get the secondary emotions. And anger is a secondary emotion. Somebody hurts you and then you're just suddenly angry. And then you also grab onto that righteous indignation. And then you have like a reason to constantly stay angry at that person or event or whatever it is. Then it can harm you longer, in the long run. And if you feel hurt, the best thing to do is just continue to feel the hurt until you have felt it all. And then let it go. Just take a deep breath and just let it go. I've been feeling great every day, really, really good every day. But today there was an energy of just intense anxiety, pressure and anxiety, and almost an inability to go anywhere or do anything or like just think straight. And I think it might be from my twin flame. And if he's feeling it, it's possible that a lot of you divine masculines out there are also feeling kind of a pressure. And if you have not met your divine feminine yet, and you're willing to meet her and you're wanting to meet her, and then you're feeling this pressure, internal pressure. Am I not good enough? Is she going to reject me? Yada, yada, yada. I'm here to say that she's probably going to welcome you with open arms and love you 100%. Because the divine feminines, we have been working on ourselves. Now, when I say she or divine feminine, you have to understand that you could be a divine feminine and a gay man, for example. It's not heteronormative. It's not meant to be cisgendered, because, you can be considered, like, your personal pronoun could be they, and you could be a divine masculine or divine feminine. Okay, so I just want to clear that up so that you don't feel like disincluded and, the heteronormativeness yet one more time, because I know I actually, like 10% of you are transgender or in the LGBTQIA community that listen to the show. So I just want you to know I see you, I love you, I hear you. And so I just want to let you know, if you're two women, trying to find each other, one of you is the divine masculine, it's possible. It's not has nothing to do with the physical shell. It has everything to do with the energy, the way the energy flows. Just so, so I give, heteronormative examples just so that the greater majority can get it. And, but I didn't want to disinclude anybody, because I know how that feels. And I know how my own transgender child has felt when I did that. So there we go. All right. So basically, watch out for the secondary emotions that can sneak up on you, because if the first emotion is not acknowledged and felt, the secondary emotion can really kind of wreak havoc on you. And if you still further push that secondary emotion down and repress it, like you're afraid to feel your anger and you repress it, it can end up in you exploding later on. Remember the Godzilla story, the Godzilla and the Gumby story. Especially, I guess it's more the Gumby story. Godzilla was there. I don't even know if I mentioned Godzilla to you guys, but anyway, if you don't know what that is, I can't even tell you where. You have to go through all the descriptions of my shows. You'll see it. It's in the description in the intro. But there also is a possibility of developing diseases or either temporary conditions, and eventually can lead to permanent conditions. So if you're perpetually hurt and you're emotionally devastated by that hurt, and you refuse to feel the hurt, and you don't go towards anger, but you just feel like now you can't trust anybody, you can't let anybody in, you'll never love again, and you'll never accept love again, you can end up with a heart condition. That happened with my mom, my birth mother, who gave me away the day I was born, didn't even want to hold me or see me, asked the doctors just to knock her out and do a C-section or whatever. And she didn't want to push, she didn't want to try. She didn't want to go through anything, just, whatever, yank her out of me. Like, just absolutely zero connection to me. And then she felt guilty about that. So she had that heart hurt, and then she had a few other heart hurts. And eventually, all of her heart hurts that she kept repressing and ignoring. And every time she'd feel a heart hurt, she'd go shopping and do retail therapy. And she spent thousands of dollars, like every month, at least like $500. And I watched her do this for years. And it was crazy. I was like, wow, like for 16 years that I knew, or something like that. That's all I saw her do. She'd get upset and she'd go, I'm going out. And then she'd like come back with, look what I found. And it'd be like huge bags full of stuff. Retail therapy only works if you've already, allowed yourself to feel the emotions, right? So she had been holding on to the same emotions for 30 or more years, probably longer. She had resentments on the day she died that she held towards her own parents, like from her childhood. And, she's in her 60s. So don't let this happen to you. She died of heart complications, serious asthma, and cancer. And that's what can happen when you repress your emotions and you refuse to feel. So if you're afraid of your anger, so you're afraid of your hurt, you don't want to feel it, you become angry, you get afraid of your anger, and you stuff that down, that can lead to so many other things. It could lead to liver damage or heart damage, just depending on what kind of hurt that you were hurt with, in the beginning. If it was you're fired from your job, then you might get a problem in your stomach area, because that's your identity. Especially if you're somebody who identifies with the money you pull in or the work that you do. And if you want to know more about body syndromes, I did do an episode on body syndromes and where you feel it in your heart. Where you feel it in your body, all the different pains, all the different things that you have. Like I have unexpressed grief. That's what asthma is. And even though I've expressed most of my grief, I still have a lot of grief. Even though I'm aware of it and I've expressed it and I've allowed it to come out, because I didn't want it to be a secondary emotion. I don't want it to become something worse. But I still have managed to have so much more grief. I've lost like 23 or more people in my life in the past 10 years. And they always say when you get older, you start to lose people. But a lot of the people that were my dear, dear friends that I've lost were in their 20s and 30s. So that's not normal. It's not like I'm 80 and all my friends are 80 and then they all start dropping like flies, because that's obvious, right? Something definitely going to happen, right? But when you're like 40 and back when I was 40, all these people started dying. And I was like, whoa. Except for my moms that died, all three of my mothers, my stepmom, birth mom, and adopted mom. Outside of them, every single person died in my life. They were friends, dear, dear friends, from all walks of life, from all different areas of the United States, just people that I cared a great deal about. And for way different reasons, just crazy and strange and different reasons. And so I have all this unexpressed grief, and if I feel like if I expressed it, for every person that died, I don't think I would come out of a deep depression for like a year. Like it's an irrational fear, and I know it's an irrational fear, but I still have it. And I'm still working on it. I'm working through it. And I'm, I sometimes get in touch with the people who died as a psychic medium. Thank you, God, I can do that. I can go to heaven in my dreams and go see them and have a conversation with them. But some of the people I haven't heard from yet. When they die, sometimes when people die and you don't have access to them, it's because they're usually cocooning themselves. Like they just go into a very, very deep state of, it's almost like a homeostasis. Even though they don't have a body anymore and they're much, much less dense, they're in their spirit body, but they feel so hurt and traumatized by Earth, which it traumatizes all of us. But some people are more sensitive and they just have way more emotional and physical trauma. And people can be cocooned, usually it's 3 months to 6 months, but sometimes it could be 3 years, depending on how sensitive they were and how bad they felt and how many emotions that they repressed. I don't know about you guys, but I think when I go there, I might cocoon for a couple months, but I want to get out of that cocoon as soon as possible to go see all of my family and friends that died, because, oh my God, those are the people I was sad about not seeing. So I think I'm going to be like super happy to be like, oh my God, you guys, I'm so glad to see you, Let's sit around a campfire and swap war stories. How did you die? That's one of my fondest ideas, like for when I die. I just can't wait to just sit around and, what happened to you, man? I wrote you an email and I never heard back. And I thought you just didn't care about me anymore, No, man, I died, like I know I'm going to have a lot of those kind of conversations because in this modern technology day and age, it's happened too many times, Anyway, just be aware of your emotions. Be aware of what you're going through right now. There's a lot of stuff going on energetically. Thank you, God. Mercury is direct, and we're about a week and a half out from the shadow period. No, I think we have one more week left. It's actually tonight. Yeah, actually, we only have one more week left of the shadow period. Thank God. I'm still having effects of it. I'm still typing words completely wrong and not noticing. I'll read something 3 or 4 times and then later go back and read it like a 6th time. And it's like, oh my God, I have so many spelling errors. And I already read it 3 times. It's ridiculous. So I think I'm going to take a break from doing card readings this week because I asked Spirit, what card deck. And again, I got the answer, no cards. No cards this week. And, okay, so God's telling me a message right now. So you're going to get messages from Spirit, just not in the form of an oracle or tarot card this week. So what do you want to say? This is a time just to trust your intuition, your gut instinct. Listen, meditate and listen to who you are inside. This is not a time to look for outward answers, but inward answers. So, and that's kind of like what we got yesterday. But today's more of, you got to meditate, listen to your intuition, ask for your own messages at this time, and they're going to come. And God's saying in signs, symbols, look for number messages, look for synchronicities, look for names popping up, the same name over and over again. All right. Oh, and also he showed me, especially if you're a twin flame and you're going to meet your twin soon, you're going to keep coming across the same name over and over and over again. It'll be their name. And it might be not their whole name, but like their first name or their initials or the letter of their last name or whatever. Or you'll like come up with their birthday over and over again. And that's true. And your twin flame is also receiving the same kind of messages. And I asked if I could see the world a little bit from my twin's perspective. And I started seeing my own name, Elena, like in 3 or 4 different places. Like I'd watch a TV show and I thought, oh, that looks like a good show. That's kind of random. Watch the first episode and boom, the woman's name is Elena. Like, what? And then randomly something comes across my YouTube and the newscaster, her name is Elena. And go to somewhere else and someone's being interviewed. Guess what? She's an Elena too. And it's like 3 or 4 times in the past week I've come across my own name, which is weird. I never ever see my name, ever. It's a rare name. So, no one had their name spelled like mine because that's extremely rare. But it was really freaky to hear my name. Like my son's first name is Aristotle, and he hears it in movies and TV shows all the time. Like he'll be watching something just kind of half-heartedly and he'll hear his name and he perks up and like, whoa, that was weird. Like, yeah, you're named after a very famous philosopher. You're going to hear this name a lot. And I kind of did it like, this is going to be kind of cool, right? But I just kind of felt like you're not going to feel totally alone, but hardly anyone has the name. People go, wow, I've never heard that name before. That's wild. And then, but it's in movies all the time. People, they know the name, but anyway. But yeah, I've been hearing my own name a lot, and then I started seeing his name again. So I thought that was kind of crazy. And I've been feeling in the center of my back, kind of an ice cold energy, but it's a very high vibrational energy. And I don't know, it feels kind of solid. I don't know what that is. If you guys have been feeling it, then it might be an ascension symptom. It feels like where my wings are going to grow in or something. But I also feel like it's a connection to my twin flame. Like if we were going to lean up against each other's backs, like have each other's backs. and it's kind of the energy I'm getting from it. Just kind of a solid, my spine is solid. I feel solid. Like this person's going to be in my life. And when he is, I'm going to feel 100% emotionally okay and protected by that love. Like I'm not going to question it, and he's not going to question it. And I just feel like it's going to be, oh, thank God we found each other. Now we're each other's ride or die, and we're going to be together forever. I mean, it's just that kind of an energy. But I feel like it has something to do with this energy. Like sometimes I feel like there's somebody holding me up in the upper middle part of my back. Like just someone has their hand on my back. And it's just a solid love energy. But it's impersonal. So it's like a higher self kind of energy. And so if you guys are feeling that kind of a physical, like a pushing on your upper middle back, I think it might be your twin flame. Kind of letting you know, like, hey, I'm here. I love you. I'm on my way. Don't feel like I'm not coming, because I am. And that's just the energy I'm getting. All right, so I had a few things that I have saved from Instagram, and I wanted to let you know because tomorrow is 11/11. So if you hear this in time, here's a message for you. The most powerful manifesting day of the century is November 11th because it's 11/11. Remember, the gateway is open, as they say. So November 11th is always a powerful day, but this is the first time in 101 years where 11/11 also occurs in a repeating number year, like 2020. So 2020's double dose of twos and zeros, she's not mentioning, further ignites your psychic precision and your spiritual connection. The last time we experienced this repeating date phenomenon was back in 1919. Now that means over 99% of the world's population have never experienced a day like this in their lifetimes. Does that mean that 1% of the population is more than 101 years old? That's kind of a weird thought. I bet that's what she means. Anyway, I don't know how scientific that is, but there you go. So the 11/11 portal, it is a portal, by the way, can unlock your path to prosperity and clarity. And then she has a whole thing about some meditation she's doing, and that's the awaken indigos. That's let me say that again. Awaken indigos, the THE. So there you have it. Now, the Ace of Moon had a lot of interesting things, so I wanted to tell you. From 2 days ago, she had light body activation was the name of one of these kind of ascension updates. So we're going to go through a lot of the ascension updates right now. So she says the energies for 11/11 are already setting in, and this is a very crucial portal. And it's starting to take effect on our bodies already, on top of the usual ascension symptoms. Bone deep aches, especially on the left hand and fingers. Numbness might be present too. Arm, shoulder, hip, knee, leg are especially prominent, but they're happening on the right as well as more intense on the left. Your spine and back may feel heavy from time to time, and your brows and forehead might tingle or itch. Ooh, my eyebrows have been really itchy. Oh, that's freaking me out. I just thought that was me somehow. I never would have even thought to mention that. So that's very interesting. Okay, so they might itch a little, along with ringing in the ears, of course. We're ringing in the new year when our ears are ringing in the ears. Ugh, we're always going to be ringing with our ears already. Somebody answer that. Oh my God. All right. You may feel waves of heat as it goes into your body. And a lot of the energies seem to be trapped, especially in the legs. So move your body and assist its flow. Drink plenty of water during this process. Now she says below this, again, this is the Ace of Moon. Your bones might be aching, but your skin might be tingly during this process. And the new energy is coming in and the old is being shed through basically intestinal gas and distress. And so the big 1111, right? And then she says on the 9th of November, which is yesterday, she says dropping weight. Have you guys been losing weight? If you had been holding on to extra fat and water weight, I know I've lost some weight. Thank God. I mean, I'm hoping I look fabulous by the time my twin comes into my world. But I've already started to lose weight. I already feel better about myself. I'm feeling like, all right, cool. In a week or two, I'll be ready for him. So I have a feeling that's about when, I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe he'll write me. Maybe he'll call me. I'd love to hear his voice. Love to hear his voice say my name. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to just talk to him and just reassure him, I don't know. I just keep hoping. Anyway, for the most part, I'm not really focused on that anymore, but I do think about him every day, and I'm like, And we're still telepathing, and I love that. I've been having really intense dreams, by the way. Have you guys had major dreams about your twin? I mean, I've had dreams where we were literally together having conversations somewhere. We're meeting on a higher dimension. And then I wake up and I just feel so heartbroken, like I can't believe I'm away from him again. And this keeps happening 2 or 3 times. And I've had visions of the future. I've had visions and I felt like it was happening now. So hopefully you guys are having these kinds of things. If not, there is another group going to be meeting their twins in May, between May and June of next year. And possibly March, like March to June. But I'm thinking May is going to be a big month. And I did see the word June the other day, and it really stood out to me. So that was kind of a confirmation of that. So, all right, dropping weight. Emotional, mental, physical purging is underway to drop the weight and make space for new energies to take its place. Old thought patterns, habits, and behaviors, and any unprocessed or suppressed emotions may be resurfacing right now, which that would make sense with all the anger posts I've been seeing. For a final exit, you're going to be going through possibly to the bathroom a lot to do your physical purging. And she gives a little affirmation. I allow what needs to leave, move through me without resistance, and I'm creating space for a new version of me. So that's pretty cool. I know that I've been losing fat weight, and I've just been peeing out the extra fat. It's really strange. And I know, see, the thing is, if you guys have, extra body weight, like fat, what that is you have toxins in your body, and your body doesn't know what to do with them. Because your body knows, well, shit, if we process these toxins, they might get stuck somewhere and cause a disease. So what do we do? What do we do, guys? Well, I don't know. Let's just throw pillows over it. And so it's like if someone has a stain on the couch and they throw pillows over it, that's what your body does. But instead of pillows, it's fat, and then the fat weight covers up the toxins. So if you eat a lot of junk food, or maybe you eat healthy and perfect, but you have to take a lot of medication for something, or if you are healthy and you don't have medication and you're in an urban area where you're breathing in fumes all the time, even if you're out in the countryside breathing in pesticides because you're a farmer, like all these, like toxins, that are in the environment, or even in your food, even if you eat normal, not necessarily too healthy, but not necessarily the best, if you eat processed food, your body can get stuck. Like those toxins are like hanging out in there. And there's 2 ways to get rid of it. You purge the fat and the toxins automatically go with the fat, or you purge the toxins and the fat automatically goes with the toxins. So we could talk about that on another day, how to do it. There's 2 different ways. I did just discover a cavitation machine. I just got it. I used it for the first time a couple days ago on my face because there's a little part of my cheeks that started to gain a little bit of fat weight. I'm like, oh, yuck, I don't want that. So I went over it, and my higher self says it's going to be 2 more times. I'll have to go over it, and then my face will be young and, just normal again. I'm like, thank God. So by next week, by this time next week, I should be fine. But I also used it on my lower abdomen, and I got rid of a lot of fat weight, which means also toxin weight. So I've noticed that now I'm breathing out a lot of toxins are being purged from my lungs, as well as when I drink a lot of water and then I have to go to the bathroom a lot because I'm purging out the toxins and the fat weight through, peeing, basically. So I just want to let you guys know that in case you are peeing a lot, that might be. And if you have a metallic taste in your mouth, that might be your lungs purging out metallic toxins. Usually that comes from being in traffic. Being in traffic or walking around downtown, wherever you live, and just breathing in fumes of cars. A lot of times they'll start to come out of your lungs, and it just feel like, feels like you've been licking a dime or a nickel or something. Or coins. It's really odd. When obviously you probably haven't been doing that. Anyway, so let's see, what else did they say? So there's a strong surge coming through the heart. I've had a lot of heart palpitations last week, especially. A lot of heart just skipping beats or just palpating like not right. Doesn't feel right, like a regular heartbeat out of nowhere. And just what I do is I squeeze the end of my pinky finger, and I tried on both sides because I forgot what side is better for the heart. So I'll do it 30 seconds on this finger, 30 seconds on that finger, and I keep alternating because I don't know which is which. You could look it up. I probably should re-look it up. But I do that, and I deep breathe, slow, deep breaths. I close my eyes and I use that as a meditation time. And usually that has helped me with my heart issues. The palpitations go away and then I'm fine again. So that's how I know it's not something as a deeper issue. So spleen chakra, that might be feeling like a pain in the lower left rib. Subtle migraine, mostly in the back of the head. I've had it in the front. What else does she say? The migraine might be hanging out after the purging's done. Arms and legs on the left side might be feeling heavy due to clearing out remaining dense energy. And of course, having intestinal gas issues. And some people might be physically purging still. Throat tightness, throat lump, throat feelings might be present. And of course, she's saying rest and water. Let's see, another one. Oh, and her last one here is twin flame update. The twin flame path is one that is constantly diverging and merging, like that of the infinite symbol. After diverging a while back to work on more of our personal wounds, lessons, and growth, both counterparts are now on the path of merging again to move on to the next part of the journey. It might have been radio silence for a while, which is also why the 5D connection is so important and not to be dismissed, even if it's not tangible. But we are merging once more, and you can almost feel your counterpart is closing in too. This merge is also activating the pull, so there might be huge amounts of sexual energy flooding both counterparts to pull them back together. Divine feminines need to release remaining anger, there's that word again, bitterness, which is also secondary emotion, and resentment, which is also a secondary emotion, towards the divine masculine. And the divine masculines have to work through their fear of rejection. See, I just picked up on that earlier. I didn't even read this first. And abandonment issues. See, that's also a big one. So any remaining blocks will be surfacing right now because it will be, of course, calling for clearing. Do your shadow work. Eat your vegetables. Anyway, allow everything to happen so that the love can flow easily again. And she says radio silence. That might be for people that already had a physical connection, or like a texting, or, some kind of, connection in that way. I have not with my twin. We've only ever been in 5D, speaking to each other via telepathy, which is wonderful. We just talked a few minutes ago, actually. And I feel his anxiety, but it's calmed down quite a bit. I worked on him. If you feel your counterpart's emotions and they're like heavy and sad, and you're like, oh my God, I wanted a happy day, damn it, instead of just feeling like, now you're just stuck feeling their emotions and whatever now, you can actually heal them. Just pray for them, work through it, breathe through it. And when I feel it in my heart, when I feel his anxiety in my heart, I will just open up a space between my heart and his heart and imagine us breathing together. We're just breathing together, just breathing together. Stay with me. We're just breathing together. This is what I tell him, we're going to just breathe it out. We're going to be okay. We're going to be all right. And then all of a sudden my anxiety goes away, which means his anxiety has gone away, because it wasn't mine in the first place. It was his. So that's kind of what I go through with him sometimes. So, I think my cat just broke one of her toys. And then she put it on top of, anyway, she had a dangling thing that was dangling from a cat perch I bought for her. And I think she broke it and put the toy on top of the cat perch so no one can grab it. Because it's pretty high up. So anyway, I just looked over there. I'm like, what? I've got to check that out later, see if she broke it. The lady who made this for her special custom order, she could probably come over and fix it for us. Anyway, a bizarre thing happened today. I don't know if this means anything to anybody. It freaked me out, to be honest. 2 nurses, women dressed in scrubs with surgical masks, came and knocked at the door and asked me if there are any women here with small children or any pregnant women here. And I said no. And they said, okay, and they left. One of the weirdest fucking things that's happened here in Ecuador. I mean, for 3 years, not one medical professional has ever come around to knock on my door and ask anything like that. And I'm wondering about COVID-19. I'm wondering if there was any reports of somebody who's pregnant or has kids, or if this is a normal thing. I don't know what's going on, but it's weird. There is one person here in Ciudadela looking for home health care, and they're a nurse. Oh no, actually that was the lady who had the bad sourdough bread. I have a good sourdough bread lady and a bad sourdough bread lady. The bad sourdough bread, I almost threw up when I tasted it. It was terrible. But the good sourdough lady, man, I try to order her stuff every week if I can. Of course, this week I've put it off because I don't even have a sponsor. I'm making literally zero money, just trying to get through my university classes so that I can have the correct credentials to apply for the jobs that I want to go for. So, a lot of stuff to do. It seems like I have little time to get it done. I'm running out of money. I've got 3 more months worth of money. And at the end of 3 months, I would have just enough to get a flight to the U.S. and then I'd be possibly homeless. So that sucks. I don't want to do that. I don't know what to do. I'm just figuring it out. I am coming up with a really, really good hypnosis for you guys. I'm going to do one on happiness that's going to be generalized, but if you want it specific to you and your situation, I'm going to be charging $111 for personalized hypnotherapy and $77 for the downloads. Because in every single download, you're going to get your light codes through my voice. You're going to get connected. I'm going to connect you to the healing grid and continuous Reiki I'll just hook you up to that grid, and that will be my Reiki flowing to you constantly from now on, which I've done for a lot of people. And I'm going to do a bunch of other things. So let me know if you want any of these things. And maybe from time to time I'll have a sale or something. But I do need to support myself with my work, and I do not make any money this week from the sponsors because I just don't have one. I don't know why they're not getting back to me. I've written 7 times and they're just not getting back to me. And I don't know why, because Anchor is a subsidiary of Spotify. So, and everyone is still on Spotify. Everything's fine, right? So let me know if there's a problem with Spotify lately too, because I honestly don't know what's happening. I need to look and see if, maybe they're in the line of fire, like a forest fire. I don't know. Hurricane, I don't know. Where's the Spotify headquarters? Anyway, I just want to bring that up. So let's go to spaceweather.com and see what's going on over there. And then we'll get into tonight's topic. Right now, the current solar wind speed is 321.1 kilometers per second. We are faced still with a decaying now. Wow. I thought it was going to keep up for a while. Sunspot AR2781 is decaying. But it's still in its state of decay. It is still posing a slight threat for M-class solar flares. But it's now decaying. That's maybe good. Maybe we're not going to get a big brownout or blackout or have everything wiped out. All right. If you see any fireballs this week, it might be a piece of Comet 2P Enki, which is the source of the annual northern Taurid meteor shower, which is going on right now. In fact, you're going to see around 5 or less meteors per hour when the shower does peak on the 11th and the 12th of November, which is tomorrow and the next day. So sometimes just seeing one might be enough for you, right? It's kind of, make sure if you see a falling star, that's what we call them, even though they're technically fireballs or meteors, just make sure you make a wish. And let's see here. Remember, moon is waning. You can make your wish, getting rid of something that you don't want anymore. Like I said yesterday, like loneliness, if you want a relationship. And then when the moon is waxing, say, I want a relationship. Just kind of two sides of the same exact coin and still the same coin. Anyway, I came up with an excellent idea, you guys, to do money. I think this one's going to be good. And I was thinking I might do a couple experimental ones, hypnosis things that, because they're experimental and I don't know if they're going to work or not, I will put them out there for less money. I don't know exactly what they're going to be yet, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to see if we can't do some superhuman-like tricks. So if you're interested in that, let me know. You want to be a part of the Superhuman Tricks program. It's going to be kind of fun. All right, so continuing with spaceweather.com. The Ulu neutron counts right now are high, 9.5% of the space age average, and that means it's gone down by 0.4% in the past 48 hours. There are no significant coronal holes on the Earth's side of the sun, so in that case, no news is good news. The All-Sky Fireball Network and the All-Sky cameras of NASA scanned the skies above the United States and reported there were 37 fireballs. 25 were sporadics and 12 were northern Taurids. So there you have it for the space weather. That always affects us, in various ways. If the space weather is particularly bad, it could actually affect us in a way that it's causing earthquakes and volcanic activity and typhoons. Actually, that's something that's kind of new. Only in the recent years have they started to go, oh, wait a minute. we got hit with these flares and that cosmic radiation and those solar winds, and then, oh my God, all these volcanoes went off. I mean, this is new. Suspicious Observers, he talks about this a lot on YouTube. I highly recommend his channel, even though he's a pretty conservative dude, you know, politically speaking, but he's never posed as a spiritual person talking about love and light and compassion and then turning around saying he's for the side that lacks those things. So, you know, he's always been what he is. He's a face value. He doesn't say he's one thing and then, you know, going towards the other thing. I did put up a Instagram post on at Mermaid Girl 888 yesterday. Or no, actually it was today, about kind of what we're talking about yesterday, where you really shouldn't, if you feel a lot of charismatic energy from somebody, you're not even pinpointing it as sexual in nature, but it's charisma, but they're in trouble in a lot of sexual ways. You know, like if they're addicted to pornography, if they are, you know, a part of Sex Anonymous, what was it, or sex, whatever. It's not Sex Anonymous, anonymous sex. You know, it's like a meeting where they have to go. I guess it's just a meeting for sex addicts. But there's also just anything. You know, people are like obsessed with sex. They're thinking about it. They're looking at porn. They're always sex all the time. Or they've been caught cheating on their spouses. They've been caught, like they've raped people. They've sexually assaulted or harassed people. That's coupled, of course, with other issues. But when people are feeling like high vibrational energy, you're like, wow, just you feel their energy from across the room. Wow. You know, there's so much energy. And then they're very sexual, but then all of the problems are coming around. That's because they never raised their kundalini up past their first or second chakra. And it's like stuck energy that they have not channeled. They don't channel it out. They don't channel it up. They just don't do anything with it. And it kind of gives them that charisma, and people mistake that for a high vibration. And anyway, I mentioned that yesterday, and I put a more clarification on what I was saying about that up on my Instagram account, so you might want to check that out. Again, that's Mermaid Girl 888. So Schumann Resonance today from disclosurenews.it is 18, so not a big number. You know, 7.83 has been normal for 50 years, and suddenly it's starting to go up in vibration. 40 hertz frequency is, well, what they say is where the fifth dimension starts. So the numbers I have from Sunday on heartmath.org are as follows. At the 2300 hour on Sunday, November 8th, California was at 64 hertz frequency. You know, of course, they're taking the average out of every single reading over the course of an hour, so it might have fluctuated a little bit higher or lower, but that's just kind of like the average of that hour at 2300 hour mark. And Hafuf, Saudi Arabia, it was at 104 hertz frequency. Lithuania was at 107 hertz frequency. Alberta, Canada was at 86 hertz frequency. Northland, New Zealand was at 71 hertz frequency. And last but not least, Hululu, South Africa was at 121 hertz frequency. So there you go. I'm going to take a quick break. You guys are going to have about 10 seconds of music or so. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to teach you guys how to do a cloud reading for yourself and possibly others. I do cloud readings, by the way. They're only $33 and not very much. I have to wait for the right day, you know, when the clouds have to be just so. We had a little bit of blue sky today, so it looks like in a day or two we're going to have a lot more availability for cloud readings. They're only $33, like I said. So I pray, I ask God, and I wait, and within the hour I go out and I just look at the sky. and I get the messages for you through God or Prime Creator and your higher self. But I'm going to teach you guys how to do it for yourself. And well, that's gonna be coming up right after this quick little jingle. All right, guys, I'm going to just jump right on in here. I took 2 pages of notes. Hopefully, I am able to read my own handwriting. So, okay. I got first interested in looking up at the clouds to find shapes and messages and all that. I first got interested when I learned how to read. So my whole life I've been really interested in clouds, but the one thing that gave me the idea about looking for shapes in the clouds is a weird book I had as a new reader, a beginning reader. And it was called I Wish That I Had Duck Feet. Now, if you're a mom, you're nodding your head going, oh my God, I love this book. I have this book for my kid. If you're my age, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I read that even as a kid. I wish that I had duck feet, and I will tell you why. You can splash around in duck feet. You don't have to keep them dry. That was the first line in this book. It was my favorite book because this kid would he laid down on a hill under a tree, and he looked up at the clouds and he saw all the shapes of all the animals. And he would imagine what it would be like to have various things of all the animals. Like, what if I had an elephant trunk instead of my nose? Or what if I had, reindeer horns on my head? I could wear 10 hats. Big Bill Brown could only wear one, Like, he's imagining his rivalry, with this other kid. Like, well, he can't do it and I could, if I had this thing or that thing. But in the beginning of the book and at the end of the book, there was this image of this little boy laying on a hill under a tree with his hands behind his head. And he's just kind of really kicking back and relaxing. And in the clouds, they were shaped like an elephant and I think a giraffe and all these different animals. And I just thought, wow, that's really cool. What a world this kid lives in. It gives him ideas. The clouds are giving him ideas about how he could change his life, or how could he imagine his life being a different way. And then he just kind of reasons it out. Like, I thought, wow, I like this kid a lot. I wish he was my best friend. I wish he was me, or I was him, however that works. I loved this kid. And ever since I first saw those pictures, and also in the pictures, the clouds were blue and white and purple. And I remember thinking, wow, look at all the colors in those clouds. When I look up in the sky, they're only white. That's weird. Of course, I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I grew up, at least for my first year of my life, first like 5 years of my life, across the street from Van Nuys High School in Los Angeles County. And I had a backyard, a front yard, and when I was really, really little, I'd just go out and look at the clouds and look for shapes. And sometimes my mom and dad would get in on it. And so I was always interested in clouds, and maybe you are too. And a lot of people are interested in clouds. And sometimes you'll see a funny picture someone takes and it goes around, becomes a viral internet sensation. There was one with some teenage girls in a car, and they saw a penis-shaped cloud, and they were laughing their asses off. And boy, that one went viral. I saw that on every social media possible because that was super funny at the time. It made me laugh uncontrollably every time I saw it. And there was another one recently where these clouds were literally shaped like Godzilla walking across the ocean. And it was, someone took a picture of the sunset, and that's what the clouds looked like. So it was kind of hilarious. So there's a lot of things to look for when you do a cloud reading, and there's not that many things that you need. There's 4 things that you need. You need a camera that can take still pictures as well as video. You need an imagination, and you need a pen and a notebook, because you want to keep a cloud journal if you really, really want to get into this. This will be something that eventually, maybe if you get in touch with the spirits of the air and you're contacting God, or you're praying or asking your holy guardian angel or your higher self to give you messages, and you're all working together, you're going to end up with some pretty cool insights. And you could draw things in your journal or your notebook. You could even get, instead of a binder, you can get like a one of those journals that, looks like a hardcover book, and it's blank inside, just a blank pages. And you could get one with lines or without lines, and then you can draw what it is that you're seeing up in the clouds. So you could really do this, every day that there are clouds, and have fun with it. And once you get really good at it, the spirits of the air know how to interact with you, and it becomes an everyday thing. And it seems to me like once they know that you're paying attention, and you let them know you're paying attention, that they will actually interact with you, and they'll send you things that make you laugh on the days that you feel sad or down, and it really will cheer you up. I mean, I've noticed, at least here, that's how the spirits work. It's actually pretty cool. Something I really like. There's a moving lump underneath my covers. The cat thinks she's being super clever and sneaky, because if she can't see me, then I definitely can't see her. So I have this little lump sleeping on the end of the bed. Instead of climbing on top of the bed, she goes underneath the cover. Oh my God, it's so funny. I just looked over, and there's this lump breathing heavy at the end of the bed, which means she has calmed down enough after being quite violent. As soon as I opened my notebook, she ran on top of my notebook and started chewing my notes. She ripped the page, and she got all kinds of out of control and started running around the room all fast. But now she's petered herself out, and she's hiding underneath the covers, which is good because it's been getting cold at night. So, here, now she's moving a little bit. I think she hears me talking about her. Anyway, so she's here with us. You might feel her energy with me. Probably in a few minutes she'll want to cuddle more, and you'll hear her purring. She'll come up and climb up into my neck. She loves to cuddle there. Anyway, so this is what you do. After you have your things, your intuition and your imagination, your pen and your cloud journal and your camera, this is what you need. And your camera doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be your cell phone or tablet. Doesn't have to be a big deal. Just something that you have so you could study the clouds, because sometimes you'll get a message, or you'll know there's a message there, but you can't quite make it out. You can't see it, and you're trying to figure it out, but you have an intuition that it's there. Just take the picture. You'll see what's going on. Try to take pictures of the clouds without a window between you and the clouds. I mean, sometimes I look outside, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta take a picture real quick, and I don't have time to open the window because the clouds change so rapidly here that if I miss it, I miss it. Today I saw a cloud that looked like a perfect sloth. It was so cute. And I went to take a picture of it, and then it looked like an ugly clown by the time I got my camera ready. And I'm like, well, I definitely don't want to look at that, so whatever. So sometimes you just got to have your camera ready, especially when you start having a personal relationship with the energies of the air that make the clouds. So, that gets quite metaphysical. So you don't have to deal with the spirits of the air if you don't feel comfortable with that. That's okay. You could still do cloud readings. So there's two ways to do a cloud reading. Number one is passive. And what you do is you just walk outside, look up, see what's there, see what's going on. And usually, there's something going on, right? And the second way to do a cloud reading is the active type of cloud reading, where you ask a question, you wait a little bit of time, and then you look up for your answer. You got to wait for the clouds to formulate. So those are basically the two types of cloud readings, passive and active. So in a passive cloud reading, you can go outside and look up, and you could see the random thoughts of anyone in your neighborhood. If they're thinking really intense, a lot of times the clouds will formulate above their heads. And I think I mentioned this several times in the past 2 years, that there was somebody in an apartment building that we could see several blocks away. They were up on a hill. And since we were on the third story in our apartment, we would look up, through our kitchen window, and there was always a heart. And then it would be like a lightning in the middle of the heart, like a broken heart. And then each side of the heart would kind of fall away from each other, and then it would just slowly dissipate. And the first time we saw that, we're like, that was really trippy. And then the next day it happened, and the next day it happened, and we're like, that's weird. And it happened for maybe 4 days in a row, and then that was it. And we're like, oh, that person must have gotten over their heartache. And we just kind of intuitively knew that that's what that was. Somebody was thinking about that image of a broken heart, and they were thinking it so strongly that the spirits of the air, the sylphs, 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 and all the energies, they're like fairies, they're elementals. They were recreating over and over and over again the feelings and emotions of the person in that house. Now, up on another hill in the opposite direction, when I looked out my bedroom window, for a while I was seeing a demon face. But it was a very special kind of demon that the tribal peoples here draw, and they make dolls, or they make masks out of these specific demons, right? And it's really strange. And I don't think they're necessarily evil in the traditional ways here, but they're maybe spirits that create mischief. Funny things that will happen, and they know we'll just blame it on that. Spirit looked like that. But I saw a cloud several times in the couple years I lived in my old apartment that looked like these demons. And I was like, that's strange. I'm never going to forget that face. And then my friend had an art gallery opening up near Quito in Latacunga, where he's from. He opened up a little shop there, and he showed some artwork of one of the natives there, and she had drawn these demons. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what I'm seeing in the clouds. And I realized this is something that is throughout all the different regions of Ecuador, where people have their own version of this, of course, but here I'm seeing this thing, and maybe that person was thinking of demons. Maybe it was an artist. Maybe she's from Latacunga. Maybe that's her tribe. But this specific kind of demon face with very curly hair and a very specific look on his face, like with his eyebrows are knit together in the middle like a bird going across his head. And I kept seeing clouds that looked like that. And then on other days, I saw clouds that looked like an Incan man with a feather headdress, and he's laying down and looking up. And I kept seeing that. So I could tell that when people were thinking about different things, and they're very intense. And then somebody told me that you can always tell a brujo when they are doing magic, the clouds will appear and that'll be like their symbol. And I thought that was a really strange thing. So I don't know if it's just me noticing these things, but really trippy. Now on the other side of town, every single day in the same area, I would see a dragon cloud that would look like a Chinese dragon painting. And it was like every day for weeks. It was like, that is really freaking tripping me out. Like, there's a perfect dragon in the sky. It was really obvious, looked like a dragon tattoo. And it was every single day. And now that I know what I know, that whatever it is that you're thinking about the most, it's going to come and be in the clouds above your head. And you could go passively walking through your neighborhood or driving through your city and check out very specific clouds and write it in your cloud journal. Where were you when you saw it? You could go back the next day or the next week and see if you see those exact clouds over that exact house or neighborhood again. And then you're going to start to understand, what are the energies? What are people thinking about? What they're concentrating on? It's really, really trippy. So, okay. Now, when you're active, you ask questions. We're going to get into this. So, you have to ask the questions and you give time to allow the clouds to formulate. Now, this is going to depend, how fast the clouds form for you will depend on how well you're connecting, how well you're asking your questions, if they're clear or not. Also on normal things like humidity in the air, the relationship that you have with the air spirits. I already said that. Or if you have air magic, they will appear faster. If you are a hereditary witch and it's in your DNA to have air magic, it will be there. Also, it could be water magic because it's kind of combined. Air and water are combined to create clouds. So if you have weather magic as well. But it depends on the humidity, the weather that day, and the wind speed. So those are the factors. It might be a very cloudy day because it's going to be stormy. You're going to have a different kind of energy there with that. But if it's just a puffy white cloud day, then, it's like mostly sunny and blue skies with puffy white clouds. Those are the best days. I love those days. So it just depends. So how fast it formulates kind of depends on you and your relationship to those beings who would be making the clouds for you. So active, in order to get into the active cloud reading, if you want to really do it right, you could just ask a question real quick, that's cool. But if you really want to get into it and have a real strong, solid answer, you have to clear your Pepsi, your physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual bodies of the individual. Basically, your, or individual bodies, your Pepsis, okay? You also have to clear your aura and your chakras. And once you get used to doing this, it only takes a few minutes, So once you get that down, how are you going to do that? Cleanse your aura, cleanse your chakras, cleanse your, all your different bodies, your multi-layered, multi-dimensional bodies. And then you can meditate. And once you are in the focused zone, then you can ask your question. So the question that you ask should not be a yes or a no question. I mean, it can be. You might get a Y cloud for yes or an N cloud for no. It's possible. Or a happy face for yes or a sad face for no. I've gotten all of those. Actually I have gotten N's. Sometimes I'll get an X or an XO. I've gotten like hugs and kisses, XOXO. Which I think is super adorable. Sometimes that just is out there anyway, because I think there was someone, probably some 6th grader somewhere, thinking XOXO all the time. Maybe they're watching Gossip Girl, I don't know. But you can't ask a yes or no question, but I prefer just to ask a question that's open-ended, that cannot end in a quick yes or no, because you might want more confirmation, more explanation, and you might get a photograph almost with the clouds instead of a Y. So you have to clearly wait and you have to watch. It can take time for the clouds to form, of course, so you watch and you wait and you watch. You record with video if you like as the clouds start to form, because you might see messages there afterwards that you didn't notice at that time. You can't be paying attention to everything, but when you go back over a cloud picture with a fine-tooth comb, you're going to see things that you didn't see before, and you could go, whoa. You could turn it upside down or sideways if you have a picture of it. If the clouds look particularly trippy, take a picture. I've taken pictures and then found out later I had a UFO in the picture that I didn't even notice. Couple times it's happened. Cloaked ships, as well as Palladian light ships. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. So take a video if you want. You don't have to. Just snap pictures when you feel that gut instinct of like, ooh, I better take a picture now. Boom, take it. You might see, clouds and like, they look like nothing. They look like, cauliflower or broccoli or something. Like, they don't look like anything, just kind of nondescript. And then after you take the picture and after you look at it for 3 or 4 days, you go, wait a minute. I see a face in that cloud I didn't notice before. Oh my gosh, look, there's a letter. I think that's a letter of my twin flame's name. You'll start to notice stuff and you're like, whoa. You'll be tripping out. That's why I say tripping. That's my slang or my jargon. If you're not from the United States, it just means you're kind of surprised, weirded out, surprised. It feels strange because you're like really interacting with your environment around you. In the Quran, there is a quote, a verse that says, we will send you messages in the clouds, and they will only be available to those with eyes to see. So I thought that was pretty cool and pretty telling. When I first read that, I was like, well, yeah, wow, cloud messages, that's pretty cool. And then I kind of blew it off and didn't think about it for a while again. And then one day when I was on the Amazon River on a slow boat, going from Colombia to Peru with my kids and my boyfriend at the time, we were always looking at the clouds and all the things around us. I mean, that day I had seen a pink Amazon River dolphin in the morning, and a few minutes later I saw I think it's a crocodile or an alligator. I think it's a crocodile. It's pretty big. He was in the water and he came up and he looked at me, and I smiled at him, and he just sunk back down under the water. I'm like, oh, he's so cute. So I was like, really, like, I had my eyes peeled that day. I was like, I gotta look at everything. And everybody decided to go to the front of the boat that morning, and I was the only one looking out the right hand side of the boat. Everybody was either upstairs or in the back or the front of the boat or downstairs. It was like a triple-decker boat, slow boat down the Amazon. And we slept on hammocks. You have to bring your own hammock, and you tie it up really tight, and then you put your mosquito net over you. And trust me, on the Amazon River, you need a mosquito net, because it's not the mosquitoes you're going to worry about. It's a giant effing cockroaches that are like almost a foot long and they fly. And I saw one and I wasn't right for days after. Even now, it just gives me the willies. But it was apparently sleeping on my leg because it liked the heat of my body on the outside of my hammock. And when I rolled over at 6 a.m, it flew off me. I screamed, but luckily the engines of the boat. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.